Welcome to Forever Exiled. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
And I'm Tyler, aka Wrecker of Days. Do you like how that sounds, Justin?
No,
let's do it again. And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days. See, it's better
because
we were talking about this the other day. Justin, aka Tags 6. Tyler, Wrecker of Days 6.
Did we talk about that?
When I throw the AK, well, it could have been after dark, which means you won't remember anything.
That's right.
but no, it's 6 and 6. So that's kind of why, like, whenever I've tried AKA, it sounds stupid.
It is funny how yours sounds natural when you say Tyler, Wrecker of Days. Mine would feel weird to be like Justin Tags.
Hi, I'm Justin Tags.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Oh, well, it's nice to meet you, Mr. Tags.
Anyway, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you? Do you see all the dust floating around?
It's decreased. When you first opened it, it was like
a
snow of dust. It looked awesome, especially with all the light.
Well, I opened the office window here for you.
Nice. You're very bright right now.
Holy crap, it's cold. That might close soon.
I love the cold.
Oh boy. No, it's beautiful weather we have. No, I finished painting the office.
It looks so good. It really looks good. I like it.
But do you see? That's navy blue. That's not black. The wall.
It looks navy blue.
Yeah, but do you see that?
The red? Yes.
The pink.
Oh,
Justin.
Pink. It looked red.
Oh, it is like, no, it is amazing. Hot pink.
Of course it's it is. The navy blue looks awesome. I think the navy blue looks great. The pink is fine.
This is the sexiest room in the world, Justin. I was allowed.
Was your wife fine with it?
Well, see, that's the thing. It didn't matter if she was fine with it, because when our basement flooded 2 Novembers ago, you know those battles that you choose to just, anyway, paint color is not important to me. And I go to heaven, I'm not bringing my paint color with me. So anyway, she kind of won the nitpicky. I get to pick the color of the rec room and the spare bedroom and the laundry room and the hallway, everything else downstairs. And I'm like, all right. I get the office. And so
do you like that? Do you like the picking of colors? Because I hate it. Christina picks everything. I don't care. Just when she shows me swatches, I'm like, well, which one do you like? I have no interest.
I don't like the colors she picked.
No,
but again, it doesn't matter to me because it's just color. But I love what I picked. Oh yeah, because I don't care. Like, you guys have rules, like, oh, you're only allowed to eat tacos certain ways. Oh, you're only allowed to drink at certain times of the day. Oh, you're only allowed, I don't know. You guys live by these weird rules. So apparently there's only certain colors or certain ways you're allowed to paint your, I missed that corner. That's too bad.
Well, the navy blue looks good.
So no, it's navy blue
for
and like
small
this
room,
nice hot dark pink.
Is there more
so
pink
I did a lot
than just
of
that base part?
And then the top half of this wall where there's the sill.
Is it really?
So
that's awesome.
Shut your face. I'm going to move the...
Sorry, people. I'll come by and see it sometime. I'll come by and see it.
Oh, please. You were going to come by yesterday.
But you fixed it. So you fixed it.
No, I didn't fix anything.
Well, it started working. So
anyway, the office is hot.
Yeah, it's looking good. You did a good job, buddy. Big shout out to our patrons and everybody else who helped support the podcast. Thank you to Spotinch and Zambi this week for signing up and for some resubs as well. Thanks everybody for supporting the podcast. We love your faces. Our Patreon gets you access to After Dark, which is our podcast after the podcast, which is just more fun and good times and things. We're recording it late tonight, so it's going to be.
We are, and thank you for doing that. Look at that. Hey, I'm really late this morning.
Nah, it's good.
Fighting with Trello, but it's for good reason. We have 2 weeks of pathofexile to catch up on.
Yeah,
and then tonight we're going to a
hockey game. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Game.
Very cool. Anyway, thank you everybody for supporting the podcast. Also, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, make sure you just hit that 5-star button, because it makes us feel special. And then it
is just about the feelings.
100%. But we love you for it.
Nothing else for it. Nope.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for your support. We love your faces. So how was your week, bud?
Oh, pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm wearing that shirt your wife got me. I'm sexy and I mow it.
Underneath that shirt?
Yes, I am.
Nice.
And speaking of, I've been fighting we had another frosty night last night. That's like 2 in the last.
It wasn't too frosty.
Yeah, we were scraping stuff off our windows this morning, off the car. Anyway, screw the lawn. I've been fighting this stupid frost since the beginning of March. It's now the middle of April, and man, the weather's not cooperating at all. But I look around. It's not like how I'm doing it. I'm not over under seeding or over under watering. It's just I look around. Nobody's lawns. only the lawns that were solid, like well taken care of, throughout the last season, because we didn't even have a fall where you could prep your lawn. So people that already just had a really good stable summer. And I because I'm a lawn guy, I look around when I walk the dog all the time in the different neighborhoods. And so, I'm like, okay, theirs is doing well, theirs isn't. And only the ones that were nice and green throughout a really hot summer last year are the ones that are still nice and green. Mm-hmm. Everyone else that had the normal maintenance or patchwork to do, nothing's happening for them. No seeds are taking. Everybody's
my front lawn looks brutal right now.
Yeah, it does, and not in like a critical way. But I was looking at yours because you had your guy come through, and I'm like,
it was just aerated.
It looks like mine. Yeah. So but no, my week has been good. It did a lot of that. My son had his first 2 baseball games of his life this week, so that was a lot of fun for the family. Yeah, and we finished the Harry Potter series finally, reading and watching.
Okay, cool.
To the kids. And so out of like 9 months of reading to them almost every night, all of a sudden we're getting to the last 200 pages. And it's like, we really don't want this spoiled for them at the end. So we canceled all family plans. We canceled all of the kids that normally read books to us every night. We're canceled. Those were no. It'd be lunchtime and we're reading half a chapter to them because we just wanted to really get it done. But that was a lot of fun. The kids absolutely loved the story.
Cool.
And then, of course, like I said, I finally decided on the different shades of blue and pink and painted the office. So it was a good week. Just good week. Can't wait.
Sweet.
Yeah, man. And you'll be pleased to know I kept the baseboards white.
Smart.
It was going to be a dark brown.
No.
And then the walls were going to be a nice, evergreen green, all foresty in here.
You're so weird.
But I figured I'm never going to be able to put pink on a wall again in my life. No. So this is my chance.
I'm glad you kept the baseboards white. They should be white.
You see, you have stupid rules. Like I said,
it's just the right thing to do.
It's so good. You start talking about your week. I'm going to ignore you and just look at my paint job.
My week was fine. We had family over for Easter, so did a Easter egg hunt with the kids and stuff. So that was fun. And then I went to the soccer game. So I went and saw
the Whitecaps
soccer game. Yep, that was fine. Soccer, it could be 45 minutes. I'd be fine with just the first half. They're long, but it's a long time. And I did enjoy watching the people there though, because wow, do they get into it? There was a dad and his son in front of us. I was dying every time something happened. They would half stand up and be like, "Oh," it was pretty funny. But yeah, so we went and watched a soccer game. What else did we do? We finished The Last of Us.
Did you? Yeah. Okay, well, let's
really
not spoil it for people, even though it's been out for a bit. Yeah. But you did like it?
I did like it. Yeah, well, we both really liked it. I didn't ever play the game, so it's not. And I actually liked that I didn't play the game because it was fun watching the show and not knowing what was going to happen. Okay. So yeah, we finished that last night. It was actually kind of funny because we finished watching it, and there's a show on Netflix that I want to watch called Beef, and so I was about to change on our TV to go to switch to Netflix, and my wife's like, as I was reaching for the controller, she's like, "Oh, so are you gonna go play your game?" And I was like, "Well, I could go play." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And I wasn't sure if she was just being nice, but then she flipped on her stupid, I don't know what the show was like.
She's like, "Can't wait for you to get out."
Yeah, Housewives shows or whatever it was.
That's hilarious.
So anyway.
With that show you watched, The Last of Us, we didn't play it. I think we borrowed a PlayStation for a while and we were planning on playing it, but I couldn't stand the gameplay, but we were really interested in the story. So we watched all the cutscenes from it. But this is back in the apartment days, early apartment days. So we're talking I don't know, what was it? 10 years ago, maybe. Mm-hmm. So we're watching it and we're like, no, don't remember that. Wow, they're really changing lots. Wow, they're really doing this. We go back. It's exact. We remembered nothing, but even if you go back and even look at the cutscenes, how a doctor turns around and is holding a scalpel, how everything,
that's cool.
The differences are, he was holding her over his left shoulder instead of her right shoulder, but the words, the diagrams on the logos, there was one created character in that whole show, but otherwise everything was just so exact. It was really, really, really cool to to compare. So I suggest looking at some sites that Google it, compare some of the sites, some of the dialogue, some of the screenshots. Okay, fine, I'll do it for you. It's amazing. It's really cool. But anyway, I'm interrupting your thing, but I did also enjoy The Last of Us.
It was really good. I was worried Christina wouldn't watch it because she didn't like Walking Dead. She didn't like the zombie stuff. It was too like just gross. And this was good because I think it was you that mentioned to me, somebody mentioned, or maybe it was Nathan, I can't remember, but said like it's not like Walking Dead where it's just all zombie stuff always running from them, blah blah blah. And so we both really,
it wasn't me.
Yeah, I think it was Nathan. It was, we both really liked it. It was fun to watch. And so there's a 2 coming out, right? Obviously, because I think they're doing the same thing.
The second game just came out, but they had already licensed for the second game. It was going to happen.
Cool.
For the show. I keep telling people about that show. Like, it's not a zombie show. It's a story about survivability, but it's not like the zombies are such a minor part of it. Like, they're always, it's not
a
very minor
running from zombies like Last of Us. It's actually more humans, like dealing with the sort of the human interaction side of it. So yeah, no, it was really good.
Yep.
We really liked it. So yeah, that was my week. And then I played some Path and
nice.
That's it. Let's get into it. Let's talk about this week in PoE. We're kind of catching up.
There are a billion notes.
I went through the notes. I mean, some of them are,
some of them are old school now. So there was some Crucible Twitch highlights, community showcase. Which one was this one? I just went through them not that long ago. Oh yeah, there's some really cool ones in here about tattoos and rugs and drawings, paintings, animations. It's pretty awesome. Really like it. We talked last week about Kirik's Vault, and I hadn't played much at that point when we were discussing Kirik's Vault Pass having just the different mentality or different setup now of having mystery boxes, but also I call them interactive armor sets. I don't know if that's the right word because we don't interact with them, but they interact with the game, right? So with a cool interactive armor set, all for 300 points, that armor set would obviously be something way more than 300 in the store. So 800 point armor sets. So but then they also have the free path. And so I've been enjoying that because as I've been going through, I just got to maps just last night or the night before, I don't know, whatever it was. And so I'm starting to see these things starting to click off. I have the little HUD display. I'm on controller support, so I don't know where the display is for you, but for me, top left, right by my health bar on the top left. And so I go and I look and I'm like, oh, neat. I can do this and I can do that. Where do I go to unlock it? There's this weird thing where it's like, it says hit X for me. I don't know what button it is for you. Hit X to go to Kirik's Vault, but it's always grayed out. What am I waiting for? Or
I don't know why it'd be grayed out, but it's just in the Karui Shore. Like the place you go after you kill Katava, it's actually in there by Kirik. It's like behind him. They've actually built it into that main hub.
Okay.
So, but for me, I can click it and it takes you just straight to that entrance of his vault. And then the doors open based on which tier you've gotten up to in Kirik's Vault. So like you have to, as you progress, as you move towards it, the vault door swings open. If you haven't progressed far enough, then that door stays locked. But yeah, it's just, you can literally just go to it was called Karui Shore or something, and then go down to where Kirik is, and in behind him is the entrance to the vault.
Interesting. So I wonder if maybe I have to walk there first to unlock it.
I would have thought that it would unlock once you've beaten the final Katava, because that's when you unlock the Karui Shore. I don't know though. I'm not sure. That Kirik's Vault Pass, I saw that they fixed it in one of the hot fixes, but it was crashing my game nonstop for the first 2 days. Josh and I both. I was like, you couldn't mouse over it. It wasn't even like you clicked it. If you moused over it, sometimes it was crashing it. So, and then they got the ability to right click it to hide it. It's in the bottom left for us for PC.
Oh, okay.
Like not controller.
For me, when I'm actually in the vault screen, I just use my analog stick, but it just lets me flick and highlight each one. And it's really cool. It's kind of interactive how it kind of pops out at you. And I'm really impressed with the screen. Just wish I could unlock stuff.
Yeah, you can find it in the Karui Shore.
Okay, sounds good. I'll check it out. And did you see I know that some of these are old people, but last week we kind of ignored everything that was happening in Path of Exile, and we just talked about the League launch. So forgive us for catching up on 2 weeks worth of Path of Exile news here, but the Crucible mystery box, I just watched the video
I still haven't.
I didn't watch it last week.
I still haven't watched it. No, it's fine. I'll watch it. We'll talk about. You want me to watch it right now? And we're back. Okay, just finished watching it.
Which that was like 5 minutes of our time, but like they're not even half a second for everyone else. So
cool.
Really cool mystery box, eh?
Yep. They always do a good job with their mystery boxes.
To me, like it. I mean, obviously the armor sets are all neat, but the two pet variations, like they have two rock. It's really funny. The rock pets and then the ant colony pets, I think are really cool. An alternate way for your charges to be stored, and with that alternate, but they have 3 different looks to them as well. So it's not just a different place where they're stored, but there's 3 different.
Yeah, but they had 2 different types of places they're stored. One is a ball that it can circle around, and one is a back attachment.
And then they have 3 different skins for those orbs: Planetary, Eldritch, and Void Emperor, which is really neat. I love the portal effects, of course, but. And then the coin flipping, that's kind of a fun thing because there are times in PoE where you wish you could. Now you can do it in game. I had a question though regarding I love the rare enemy effect kills. Oh my goodness, that's finishers. So cool. The different ways. Oh man. So I have 2 questions for you. The wildlife aura variations, they have determined, disciplined, and graceful. These replace the visuals of grace, discipline, and determination. Now, a few years ago, they all had only aura specific, like they weren't aura generic auras. Every aura had aura specific. So discipline had a specific skin, clarity had a specific skin, and then it was maybe around the 3.0, my timeline could be way off, but then they decided, okay, every aura skin can work for any aura. Then they started coming out with other things that reserved, like skills that reserved mana. And it wasn't just auras. They came out with heralds, they came out with banners. And so now there's that separation there. You know, there's herald specific ones, banner specific ones. I don't actually think there's a banner one except for invisible. Yeah. Now there's aura specific ones. Are they going back to specific? Like if I get this disciplined or determination, do I have to use it with that skill?
I think that's fine for some.
I don't know. That's kind of weird. Like I bought the clarity skin years ago because I loved it. And I actually only used clarity for that skin because I thought it was cool. Now I love that I can use that on every one. And I even bought like those spinning skull ones. There was one for hatred, one for grace, and one for, I think it was determination as well. No, it was for hatred, anger, and wrath. That's right. Those skulls. So anyway, I think these are really cool combinations, but it'd be weird to go back to aura specific when they kind of broke away from aura specific.
I don't mind it. I mean, it gives them some stuff to do, but I mean, at least it's up front. So
yeah, very true. I mean, it's not like you don't know what you're getting. Yeah. Now, the other question I had is mystery boxes always go to the store, right?
I think so. Yeah.
But it's like, because I'm just kind of used to it being all about armor sets and things like that. And of course, they're getting quite creative. I can expect these rare finishing effects to get to the store.
I believe so. I believe mystery box stuff eventually goes to the store.
Because I'm the kind of guy where like there's some of these things are going to be really cool, but I don't like polluting my, how do you call it, MTX storage with stuff that I don't like. Like I like sets. And even though I'm always thankful for the free things I get, it drives me nuts when I only have one pair of gloves without the rest of the set that doesn't match. You know what I mean? So when I go into like, okay, I'm looking at my headpieces and I'm like, okay, sweet, this one's here. They're all in alphabetical order. It's all the same. When I go into gloves, all of a sudden that order's all screwed up. You know, the harmonious gloves are in a different location because I've won 4 extra gloves at some point, and you know what I mean? So I like having a clean inbox. I wish I could. Wait, can you donate MTX? They did something like that, didn't they? What was that?
It was an MTX was something for about gifting that. An item, like when you're giving to put an item on the ground.
Oh.
Yeah, you just put it into a box. I don't think you'll ever be able to gift MTX.
Well, because I'd like to gift away that Twitch portal. That's for freaking sure. That purple portal.
One? Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Oh, man. I can't wait till we can actually hide or archive MTX or portals. But anyway, yeah, I was really impressed with this one. I'm tempted to go through, but because I don't like having MTX, I don't like having. I'm going to wait till they're in the store, but I'm excited for that for sure. So anyway, that was kind of neat. What else do we have? Oh, the new microtransactions. Justin, did you see what the new Vortex microtransaction looks like?
I glanced at it. Yeah. Is this the first Vortex one, or is there another one?
There's other Vortex
Okay.
ones. I bought the black hole one when it was called black, before Celestial existed. They called it black hole, and oh, so cool. And then yeah, there's a few other ones, like some crazy cool water whooshing ones, but this one's just like that skull. It so suits what Vortex is, right? You always like picture, to me, even though there's no gravity pull to Vortex, I've always pictured it like that. You know what I mean? People running from the center of your Vortex, kind of like, I've always pictured it working like Void Sphere. That's the gravity one. Void Sphere, where it's like sucking people. And I've always kind of pictured Vortex to be the same way, because, you know, like in real life, you know, a vortex would, you're eventually getting sucked to the center. So I don't know. I just love the whole skull thing. It so suits it. Whoever came up with that idea was really, really cool. Other microtransactions here for Reap. Oh yeah, some hideouts. Cold Snap. They came out with the 2 X-Arch hideouts. A raccoon pet, Justin.
Yeah, I saw that, a video for it.
Yeah, very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. And then if we move on to patches, there were 9 hot fixes. There was the content release that we talked about last week, and then 9 hot fixes, and then a big B and a big C patch.
Mm-hmm.
With some massive, massive changes.
Yep.
Massive changes. Do you want to get into that right now? Yeah, let's get into some of the patch
There were only
changes.
a couple I cared about, but yep.
Yeah, I mean, all of them great. A lot of crash instances that were fixed, a lot of MTX or new skills working, or new functionalities with supports that weren't working as intended. And so they just bam, hotfix, not waiting for anything. And I love that mentality. Just get it out, get it out, get it out. Obviously, some things are more complicated, so you have to wait, make sure that they're tied in properly with everything else. So that's where B and C come in. But man, really, really good. And you know what? I don't know where we normally stand. It's kind of difficult, because normally when there's a league start, I can picture us many times in the past being like, suck it up, community. It's supposed to be a hard game. This is the way it's designed. Wait 2 weeks before, you know, you start complaining about it. And then there's been some times where I remember things have been just way too overtuned, or there hasn't been enough information available. For example, how long did it take for us when the Syndicate was released? What was Syndicate called? Is that the league? Betrayal. When Betrayal was, what was it, like a week and a half in before people realized they were annihilating us because it was half chaos damage that they were inflicting upon us. And so it's, you know, there's, you know, I don't really know where we normally fall. I guess we don't have to normally fall somewhere, but hopefully we don't sound hypocritical from the past, because this league launch last week, we weren't overly positive as to how Crucible was. We loved the idea of it, but the presentation of it, the information provided, and then of course the difficulty of it. I mean, for us at that point through the leveling process, just was a very unfun experience. And it seemed like a lot of other people agreed with us, because the patch notes reflect that now.
Yep. Okay, so well, let's just talk about the
Forever Exiled
stuff.
people said, "Yep."
Okay, well, so patches, the only thing I really cared about in all their hot fixes was that they fixed the Kirac Vault one, because that was driving me crazy, getting crashed. The 2 patches, the B and C, so they decreased damage. They
Crucible monster damage reduction, and their damage.
Yeah, and they made Crucible, you know, supposed to be a little bit more easy. They added like a progress bar that changes the word underneath it as you get it, you know, as you scale it.
Change. It has a percentage, and then it says, you know, easy, moderate, difficult, brutal. I don't know, ludicrous.
Lethal,
I don't know.
There was the last one.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, it's at least it's nice to see, I guess, a percentage. Like, that's fine. I still feel like you're not given enough information about what the mobs are that you're about to spawn. You know, like I just with rare modifiers, you know what they're going to do. With Crucible, you don't know if they're going to be cold based, bleed based, fire based, just something, you don't find out until they're right on top of you. And I wish that there was some more information with that.
But you don't get that in a map either. Like, you get what the map mods are, but you don't know which enemies are going to be coming at you and when. You got to deal with it when the enemy arrives.
I know before they're on top of me. As I'm approaching mobs, I know what's on top. I know what I'm about to approach. So with Crucible, they're on top of you unless you spawn them and run away and then come back. So, but it is fine. It's at least that's there. I like that they got rid of the negatives that can spawn on the first node. I don't know why that was ever a thing, but I have no reason why they also gutted the positives with it. So now, yeah, you're not going to get a negative, but the positive has been like massively gutted, hugely nerfed. Yeah, I don't get that. Like it's so weird to me that we watched Chris in the reveal talk about this big power creep, and it was going to be one of the most powerful, league mechanics they've added. I kind of miss that. We'll get into our weeks in PoE, but I don't see the downside to having those modifiers still remain what they were. Like, I get that it's still something. You're still getting some benefit from, whatever that positive modifier is, but it's just taking a big part of RNG and slapping it on top of another big part of RNG, which is the modifiers on your weapon, the base type that you need, and now the tree as well. And it just seems so weird to me to decrease that. I think the negative, I actually think it's not really fair, because I think the negative should have never been there. I think that was a mistake from the get-go to have a downside to the first modifier. I agree
with that part.
Yeah, I'm not sure I really like downsides anywhere, but I get in some cases they do need to be there. I would have just rather seen the original version of the positive. Like if something was going to be, let's say it was adding fire damage and it was like a tier, let's say I think tier 3, tier 4 was a pretty fair modifier to see as the amount of fire damage added to attacks or spells or just in general. To drop that tier 3 or tier 4 to now it's like tier 8. Like we're literally talking bottom of the barrel tier of damage that's being added. Yes, it's extra damage, but it is not affecting you that much. And that I kind of liked that that was the whole point of these trees, was to like build them out. And I do understand that as you build out the trees further, they can get a lot better. But I would have rather seen a big benefit to that first modifier without the negatives. Like when I was playing, I did it to my unique staff, and it didn't wreck the staff, but I did have to scour it off because it was affecting, to lose a bunch of crit for an increased amount of elemental damage wasn't worthwhile.
Well, you lost flat crit when you were using elemental overload.
Yeah. And there was nothing I could do to make up for it.
And that's a unique staff that you're using. You're using Searing Touch. That does screw up your weapon, and it makes it unfun to, oh, sweet, I got another Searing Touch, let's check it out. Like it makes it, I have the same experience, and I'm fine. Let's jump all over the map. I'm fine with it. But like I have the same thing, right? I'm going through and I'm getting my calling wands. Convening wands are the stage that I'm at now. I'm not at convoking wand stages yet, but I'm at the convening wand. One drops and it has like 68% increased minion damage. I'm like, sweet. Every minion thing that I've had so far, it's just sucked. So, and that not occurs. That's just, RNG. Life goes on. Good starts and bad starts to league starts. And so I finally get one with 70, and I'm like, nope, not touching it. I'm not doing the league mechanic because I actually like what rolled. That's what life was like before the B and C. I forget which one it was, the B or C patch, whichever.
C doesn't matter. It, yeah.
Because I was painting this week, that 2-day period where B and C came out, it was the same patch to me. And so anyway, that convening wand, I'm like, no, I'm not touching that. But then now this patch comes out and I'm like, yes, let's see what it is. And I'm kind of on the opposite end of you. Like when all you're going to do is have positives, they need to be low positives. And like Path of Exile is all about the minor investment to big things. You know what I mean? You're not investing 20% increased damage in a generic term. You're not investing every node is 20% increased damage. It's 5%, 5%, 5%. And then that adds up with commitment. But these trees are different. Right. So I totally get, like, if you're not having negatives, which, and I agree, you never should have to begin with, because you want it to be exciting to see what's going to happen. And obviously negatives are going to ruin the already very limited good drop chance that you already have with the game. Does that make sense? We get so few good items from the ground that ruining that 1 in 1,000 chance that you're getting that decent drop with this negative starting passive node is kind of too bad. So I agree, and I'm glad that they changed it, but I totally get you have a very basic, generic, slightly good node to start off with. And then the rest of the tree you at least get to see, and you get to decide, okay, well, at least I like the base item and I'm going to keep that, but I'm going to ignore the tree. Or, holy smokes, I can't believe this drop. Let's keep it going.
So just a counter to that, though, is you said, and it's true, you get so few good items on the ground. So that's the first part of the big RNG. And I get that you can craft stuff, but let's take that part out. There's so few good items that come from the ground. So there's a big part of RNG to that. My just problem with the idea of like, hey, this is going to be a big deal league mechanic is, okay, so I'm going to take this item now. I'm going to charge up this Crucible. I'm going to put myself into a fight, a tough fight to try and have to do whatever. That now you've also thrown on another huge part of RNG, which is what is this tree going to be? Sometimes that first modifier, that first keystone that drops on it isn't going to benefit you anyway. So I just don't see the downside to giving, let's say, a tier 3 or tier 4 damage modifier versus a tier 7 or 8, because that tier 3 or tier 4 may still not be super beneficial to your build. It may not, like, it just seems weird to me to take this big part of RNG, which is the items on the ground, throw another big piece of RNG with the tree, but then make the tree potentially roll something that's meaningless. And granted, I understand there's, up to 5 different modes to this tree that you can get, but there is a huge RNG to getting a tree that actually works for you, that's good. Like 95% of the trees you get, you're tossing them away. 100%. Sorry, I shouldn't say 100%. 95% of those trees,
1000% of the time,
95% of those trees are not useful. When you look through the tree and trying to figure it out, 95% of the time they're not a beneficial tree to you, and so you're going to look for the next item, and you're going to look for the next item. And so in your case where you're going, okay, I get a wand that drops, that's great, now I'm going to Crucible it, and that first modifier is such a small bonus that it doesn't really change much. But now you're looking at the tree and going, okay, this isn't a great tree for me anyway. Now what you're doing is picking up every single convening wand, putting Crucible on it just to look at the tree, so that later you can try and smush them together and hope that, because the way that it works is you take your good item, you put it at the bottom, you take the item you want to get rid of that has a tree you like, and then you hope, that it's just a chance of whether those keystones will pass to your item. But you do maintain, you at least get to keep your item. You're not wrecking your item. But I'm just saying, there is so much of that relies on endgame playing for a really long time to constantly be, what do the people call it, cooking or whatever, crucibling these items to try and find a tree that works for you. I just don't feel like there was a bad thing to having that first node actually being beneficial, and me going, okay, I'm just gonna have to, at least it helped me, and now I'm just going to keep crucibling a bunch of items until I find an actual tree that I like, but I've gotten some benefit to this first node, whatever, it'll help me. It was at least something fun to the league mechanic, whereas when you crush those tier modifiers, it made it wasn't useful. I didn't even really need to do it. Like, I get that, yes, okay, we were talking about it in Discord, and somebody made a great point of it is free power. I'm not arguing with that. I'm just saying it's such a minor amount that it doesn't really matter. It didn't define it. Not that the first node should define your build, but it barely helped, is what I'm trying to say. It barely did anything to it.
I guess when you look at it from a temporary league perspective, and only a temporary league perspective, I don't know. I see it from both sides, because we also don't know the depth of the mod pool for each category that they restrict the items to, right? Whether it's like spells, casting attacks. I don't know how generic or specific those mod pools are, or how many there are. So I guess it depends. Like, if there's a large variety of mods that each pool has, having the RNG on top of the RNG, it's nice if it has maybe more rules, so that first node's more exciting. I also get the perspective of, we don't want every tree to be powerful, so you are going to be inspecting each and every one. I don't know, maybe the league just doesn't suit someone who doesn't want to pick up items. And like, it's basically what this league is. It's if you don't like IDing items, well, now every item you're IDing twice. Right. That's kind of what this league is.
You can do with the white items, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Well, right. But that's kind of what I'm like, you're hoping for good rolls or crafts, whatever, on the first one, and then you're obviously IDing this one, but this ID process is obviously a lot more fun than using a scroll of wisdom because it provides enemies to you. I get where they both come from. For me, I guess because I am more of a standard player, I'm just hoping they're getting what they want from this. Like, for as a league player, I get you really want this to be exciting, and it needs to be, otherwise you're just done, right? Like, there's no reason to play if all you're doing is waiting for this league mechanic to eventually be fruitful. You're probably going to burn out before you really care. For not if you're playing all the time, but for someone who's playing, I don't know, 16 hours a week, let's say, which is still quite a lot. If you're going to burn out before you get to the point where the league mechanic had a lot of value to you, it's not really going to be a good temporary league. I don't know if that's the case for you, but for me as a standard player and hoping that items eventually get passive trees, I don't think the combining and the cooking is something that would stay if this was to go core. Like, if I see GGG testing this idea out as something that items are eventually going to have passive trees, I don't think it'll be, you know what though, they actually really do hang on to their ideas, don't they? So maybe the combining passive trees would be something they would consider. But I would hope that they're looking at something long term where it's like, okay, what are the values that we want these at? Are these going to be notable style improvements? Are they like travel point improvements? Like, what's the value going to be at if this was to go core? In terms of the game, I like the changes that they made. I like that it's now exciting to see what my future tree is going to be like. Many times, though, the first node has not been valuable to me, but it has been a more exciting reveal, I guess you could say, than simply a scroll of wisdom.
So just with regards to that, I don't usually typically expect anything's going to go core, and I play for the league, and I get that there are people that play standard, but they absolutely have to develop league mechanics for the league, not for core, 100%. Not for standard.
That's the whole point of them. Yes.
Right. So I just find it a little bit annoying where right now I'm not IDing an item for the hopes of upgrading my current item. I'm IDing an item, or I'm crucibling an item to get other trees that I might crush into it. And there's at least, if you get a good item that drops on the ground, like maybe I get something that's got like fire multi and +1 to fire gems or something like that, at least when you first do the initial crucible, if that first modifier is meaningful, it doesn't have to be build defining, it doesn't have to be insane, but it's meaningful, then there's a choice. I'm actually in this spot of like going, well, maybe it is an upgrade. Maybe I can swap out and start using scepters because I rolled a tier 3 fire damage to spells or something on that little node. But at the current point, the only purpose to crucibling an item is to get the extended tree and to find out, does it have something that is actually build defining, which I do agree, and I appreciate the fact that those are further down the line to get some of those notables that will actually define your build, and you got to work towards them. It's just that the first node means nothing. It actually means 0 to the item, and Crucible in endgame is a per map increase, right? The only way to progress the Crucible tree is per map. So now I'm putting more
because
time,
you get one instance per map is what you're saying,
right? You get one instance, and you're also you can't progress it one whole keystone per map. You're progressing it maybe a third. If you're full in a tier 16 full run, you're maybe filling it a third, but you've probably completely killed yourself, you know, putting it all the way up to lethal and depending on, because they get the map modifiers and, you know, whatever else could roll on it. So it's just that I wish that there was a bigger benefit to that first node, because it would make it more exciting when something drops that's good, because then that first, right now, literally the reason I crucible an item is to look at the 2, 3, 4, and 5 tier of the crucible tree. The first one, it doesn't matter. It's so minor, it's so small that it makes no difference to the build.
And I guess when it does take you that long to ID a base, and you're getting that base once a map too, you start getting a backlog. I feel like that the first one was like, value. I can see that.
Let's have this powerful power creep. I want the league to feel strong, and then if they want to change it later for how it goes core, that's fine. Because the thing is, you have to remember too, when they go, let's say that these things were really powerful first nodes, and you know it actually made a difference to your build. when they decide in 322 to what the new league mechanic is, and maybe they're going to say Crucible's going core, and hey, we know those are too strong, so we're dropping them down. It always comes with a but. We've got this. There's a new league mechanic. There's a new stuff. So it's not the end of the world because there's something new to add to it. So, okay, maybe the trees aren't going to be as build defining in 322, but we're not in 322. We're in 321, and 321 is supposed to be Crucible and focused on these trees in the item. Make it about that. Make it feel like there's something special, something big. I've seen some people's items with these crazy trees, and I think that's awesome. But I've also seen people talk about the fact that if you're playing 2 hours a day, maybe 2 hours a day, let's say you're only playing like 8 hours in a week, that it's a lot of work to try and build up an item to get that, to then run it, to then Crucible smush them and hope that the key, oh shit, those ones didn't go. Now I got to find another one with that keystone. And I get you can play the trade site, and you can buy them based on the keystones and blah blah. I don't want to do that. That's not like, I want to play the game. I don't want to play the trade site. I don't want to go and buy a bunch of stuff for crazy expensive prices just because I want to try and get these keystones. I want to actually get them. I want to ID them and play the Crucible and have a chance of getting them. So anyway, all I'm saying is I don't know that it was necessary to crush that first node. I think the negative should never have been there, and I don't think it's fair to use the fact that we're removing the negative as a reason to crush the positives. I just don't think that makes sense to me.
Okay. And on a side note, for those that were going to respond or reply with trade, I think I've heard CW mention quite a few times that like you don't like, they always plan their leagues around trade, not around hardcore solo self-found, but there should never be a dependency. I believe I remember, and I hope I'm not paraphrasing or twisting his words, but from the mentality that I got, there should always be the option of trade, but not the requirement of trade. They do plan their leagues around trade, but you shouldn't have to need trade to progress and do things.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, I like the fact that they got rid of the negatives, which is sort of where this started, but I just don't feel like the need to crush the positives was a good change. I don't think it was a necessary change, but it is what it is. And at least the negatives aren't there.
Gotcha. Well, I'll bet you my bathroom break was more satisfying than his phone call. A neuron star could explain a black hole theory.
Good to know.
I love space stuff. And I know there's like 0 seconds between me asking to go to the bathroom, you making a phone call, and then me mentioning this. But, there's like 5 minutes in there where, we're doing stuff. So anyway, I love it when like I love space. I love like history and like discoveries and archaeology. I hate it when any single article I read about it talks about anything that they're discovering like fact. Like outside of like the literal discovery, I hate it when the story that they talk about is this is what happened, as opposed to this is the best that we think. This is what the majority of people believe. You know what I mean? Like I always find articles or authors trustworthy when they're not, what's the word? Know-it-alls. They understand that there's stuff that they don't know yet. So while we're on the subject, pretty impacting patches though for the league, and in the league these changes, and we've seen these changes happen often enough in other leagues, reductions and changes in difficulty based on feedback. I do remember in the past criticizing quick changes, let people see how it works out. I did find the leveling experience when I included Crucible in it very unfun. So despite the fact that that's normally a mentality that I have, I was not disappointed that they made these changes. Granted, I'm not leveling anymore, but the Crucible monsters have less damage reduction, except when channeled to maximum difficulty. I do like that change. They all have less life, but especially in the second part 2 of the campaign and in low tier maps. And then bosses, Crucible bosses, wherever those come from, have their life reduced as well. Increase the amount of Crucible passive tree experience gained from encounters, so that's pretty sweet. Should be a smoother progression. Increase the drop rate of the igneous geodes. Those are the first tier of them, right? Those are just the ones that let you
It's the one
combined,
that
not
lets
the
you
unique
combine
item
them.
one.
No,
Right,
it does.
right.
It can roll the unique one. That's what mine. Yep. It's the unique one is just a random roll on a geode.
Ah, okay. But then the other one's the map itself that you need. Right. Okay. Because there was 2 geodes that they introduced. Excellent. Okay. And then they improved the user interface, and then they disabled the negatives on most, not all, initial Crucible passive trees.
Yeah, and they fixed the silliness of like that you can do an elemental damage, but your elemental damage can't do the ailment. That was such a silly negative to have as well. I'm not sure how that one made it through, but whatever.
Nah. All right. And then let's see. Oh, yes, of course. Console had it released. And thank you for your patience. Those that follow my console filters, I wasn't able to update my filters until about 4 hours post-launch. So thank you for your patience. Hopefully it didn't screw you over. Don't think it would have. What else do we have? What's been discovered so far? Recently asked questions. There was one thing I missed. I don't know. Maybe I accidentally forgot to put it in our notes here. Maybe I don't know what happened. But anyway, there was the Wicked Chaos helmet and the Chaos Orb skin. Where was that from? Which part? Which link is that from in our MTX section? Crucible mystery box, was that there?
No, there wasn't anything about a chaos. What are you reading a note that you have?
Yeah, it's just a note that I have. It says Wicked Chaos helmet and Chaos Orb skin and Chaos Orb speech.
Oh boy.
Was it from the mystery box?
No, there wasn't anything to do with chaos orbs or chaos helmets.
Where's it from?
Tyler's brain.
Shoot. No, like you see, I type these things without notes so that because I know it's just going to happen. Like, oh, okay, that's awesome. I know exactly what I'm going to do. Where did
you have it under announcements? Does that help you at all?
Challenge rewards. Thank you. Yes, it does, Justin. They're part of the challenge rewards. Watch the video.
Okay.
You didn't watch the video. It's a minute. You'll be fine.
I've seen that challenge one.
But cool. So I love the MTX that is more themed for the game. Like this is a Chaos Orb helmet. I love that. And there's not a lot of that in the game. I understand. Helmet. There already is. This one's a different one. Mm-hmm. But I like that stuff. You know, if you were to have like a divine orb mask type of thing, which there's a unique that looks quite like it already. But I like those little extra interactions and details. But then there's also, what did I write? Oh yeah, the Chaos Orb skin on the ground is like an actual, it looks Chaos Orby. It's totally different than just a normal looking skin. Oh my goodness. If they start adding skins to items as they're on the ground, my mind's going to explode.
Do the challenge ones go to the store? Or the challenge ones always...
No. I think they're always exclusive.
At least they're available there for free for everybody if you play enough and do the challenges.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah, definitely. And yes, exactly. Then there's also speech that comes from interacting with the Chaos Orb. That's crazy cool. I wonder what it's dependent on, like if it's positive or negative based on a certain tier.
When you roll,
I don't know. I think the example that they had is like better luck next time or something like that. But I don't know. Right? My brain's just going nuts. So anyway, that was really cool. Thanks for finding that for me. But yeah, no, it was an extremely busy 2 weeks, of course, even all, of course, revolving around the league launch. But there's lots that's going on, and definitely lots of opinions to have. Can you hear the birds in the background?
I was wondering if that was a bird like right at your window.
No, they're not even close to my window. I can shut the window if you like.
No, it's fine.
This is just for all the floating dust you noticed at the beginning. All right, so I can shove all my other stuff to the side, I think. Everything else that I've taken notes of. Sorry, it was such a busy morning. I didn't even get a chance to figure it all out. But, one thing. Hey, Bean395 from our Discord, you found a mirror.
Oh, get out. In this league already?
I forget. Wow. Now, my apologies. I don't. I think it was this league. I'm sorry. I had the note here. I didn't write a date on it, but I don't think I pushed that note. I do think it was from the start of this league launch. I don't think it came from one of the previous previous leagues. So anyway, no matter when it was, congratulations, Bean. That's extremely exciting. Yes. So yeah, everything else I can push. So you talk about whatever you want in regards to the league and how your league start was. Why don't we talk about that? But I would like to congratulate GGG on a very nice filter post. Your filter post was organized. It was nice. Like as a filter creator, I had no guessing. It was great. It was awesome. There was only one thing that you added later on, like an extra change or an addition to the game that should have been added to the post, but instead they added it to the RAQ instead of both. So outside of that, like it was nicely organized in terms of classes and base types, and I didn't have any questions as a filter creator. So thank you, filter announcement poster. So Justin, how waseth your leagueth starteth? I guess we already talked about our league start. So now you've had the week. So how's been your first week is my question.
This has been one of the least fun leagues I've played in. I'm going to start off with just my downside because just to get out, because I do have a lot of positives, but I have glaring issues with Path of Exile right now, to the point where I can't think of the last time where I've been a week in and been like, I don't want to play. I'm not in the mood to play Path of Exile. It's gotten me too frustrated in my last sit down that I did, and that has been my week. And I don't really like to say it because I know we tend to be pretty upbeat and positive, and I do have some positive stuff to talk about, but okay, so let me just get started. Crucible was disappointing in the beginning. They have done some improvements to it, but I still feel like it's got some improvements to make. I have no clue what they did this league. I have no idea why they are everywhere, but I have never ever seen Soul Eater so much in Path
the mod Soul Eater?
The mod Soul Eater. I've never ever seen it this much in Path of Exile, and I have played a lot of Path of Exile. I've played a lot of endgame Path of Exile. I've never seen so many Soul Eater modifiers, and it's not fun. It's not fun. Here's the reason why. If you're playing, the build I'm playing with is so Josh talked when I started playing Fire Trap, I was trying to figure out my clear. Josh had talked to me about Frostblink, and then he told us about that Subtractum guy. So I did look at what this guy was playing. I was trying to get some ideas for how I could play around with it. Frostblink does work great for clear. It's actually been a lot of fun putting that into the build and making it work. But then so I'm kind of all over the place. When you and I talked a little bit ago, the game for me focuses on the Atlas passive tree. It's my favorite part of Path of Exile right now. I love the Atlas passive tree, but the focus of Path of Exile is do the content you like, juice up the content you like, kill lots of mobs. Like that's the idea behind the game. So for myself, I focused on Expedition because I always like Expedition. It's very good for currency. It's one of the best ways to get currency, and so I love it. I made a monstrous mistake this league and went Breach, and now I'm saving up Orbs of Unmaking to get the hell out of Breach. I thought, they remade it, they redid it. I'm excited to try. It's awful. It's absolutely awful.
I'm not going to interrupt you with that, but I'm going to make notes because sure. I know you want to get going and I don't want to distract. So if I'm writing, keep talking.
You do your thing. I was taking notes while you were talking too. So Breach is brutal. The monsters drop very few splinters. Trying to save up to get Breach stones is just painful. And then when I ran Breach stones, the drops were pitiful from the bosses. The only positive I will say about Breach stones is their XP is amazing because now they're monster level 81. So the XP in there was fantastic. I got 30% of 91 to 92 just for running 3 Breach stones. So like the XP is great in them, but the drops are pitiful. The drops themselves in the Breach in the map are awful. The only time it turned out to be good for me, there's a node that adds this like Exile Dentishash whatever hand. Yeah. If you happen to get lucky and that one drops, it drops a bunch of all the different splinters. That one works out well. And then I've had one time the 1% roll where it had 10 breaches in the map. Unfortunately, it was in Atoll, so it's not a great layout for Breach anyway, but the splinters are just pathetic. It's so bad how many splinters you get from
Breach. Are you
Breach.
fully invested into it?
I've gone in every single Breach node, and that's what's the worst is I'm like, God damn, now I have to get so many Orbs of Unmaking to get out of it. I have every single Breach.
There's 5 clusters of Breach, man.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
A lot of points into Breach.
I was a big fan of when I did Torment and Anarchy with the Rogues because Torment has 2 clusters and the Rogues have 3. So anyway,
I have every single one of them. And I also put on the like little ring MTX, so the Breach looks different, blah, blah, blah. So that's been a big disappointment. So I am going to pull out of there. But what I'm what I want to get at is the fact that Expedition and Breach are very focused on heavy density of mobs. There's a lot of mobs in those two mechanics of playing the game. And then just take the normal game in general. When a Soul Eater, which is how this originally started, when a Soul Eater modifier rolls on a rare in amongst a bunch of mobs that are going to die, they're supposed to die. They're just white normal mobs. They're going to die much faster. The Soul Eater gains charges so fast, like so quick that I don't have time to try and quickly get that Soul Eater down, because the only thing I know is I just saw 700 fucking lasers shoot at one mob, and I'm like, well, I am dead. There's no way I'm going to be fine. Like, here's my problem with Soul Eater. One, it has a hidden modifier that grants them damage reduction per soul eaten. No player gets that if you get Soul Eater. That's just a Soul Eater on a mob. They get their attack and cast speed and size. I don't care about size, but I do care obviously about attack and cast speed, and I absolutely care about a reduction in damage.
Oh, we're over an hour. No, I did it. I put my phone on D&D. It just means we're over an hour. That's fine. Don't worry. So, keep chatting. If you've got the time, Justin, I've got the oh, wait, do I? Hang on. I have an appointment today. You're good. You're good.
Soul Eater has no cap. There's no cap on how many charges it can get, how many souls it can eat.
I always assumed there was, but I never looked into it.
There's no cap. And it doesn't drop. It doesn't fade. It doesn't reduce. There's nothing that... So I can't even tell you how many times already in the first week of this league, and not even the first week of this league, I'm 93 or 92. I have... My Atlas is done. I've done all the tier 16s besides a few unique maps or whatever. My build is actually, I'm really liking how my build is. It's strong. I can do the content. I can do the stuff I want to do. These Soul Eater mobs become like infinitely harder than any other boss I could possibly fight in the game, because I can't escape them. I have no clue what they're doing. They're just casting or attacking like 400 times a second. It's, I don't understand why there are so many Soul Eaters this league. I've never seen this before. I've never experienced this where it's just been, I was talking to you in one map, I had 7 Soul Eaters. It was just a volcano map. It's not even like it's a, I don't know. It's just volcano 7. I ran across 7 Soul Eaters in one map.
I wonder, I mean, GGG always makes number changes in the background that they don't tell people, and they should, right? That's something like you can't, if they, you know, every little percentage they change, there'd always be an uproar somewhere from some community. So they always make changes. I'm curious if they did change the spawn rate of the Soul Eater mod, or maybe there's certain monster base types that spawn Soul Eater more often than not. And maybe, you know, one of the mods you're rolling, whether it's like sea witches or undead, or I don't know which ones you're coming across. For me, I always picture Soul Eater in like the one that looks like the Carrion Golem. That always seems to be Soul Eater for me. Maybe there's been some changes there in that regards. Now, not negating how frustrating this has been, but the majority of your frustration with the league, outside of the Crucible stuff that we already talked about, the majority of your frustration is just the frequency of Soul Eater and the stupidity of Soul Eater, right?
Well, no, it's not just Soul Eater, but Soul Eater is the one that's definitely taking the cake. I mean, it's so stupid because it can even roll with other modifiers. Throw hasted or regen or, yes, or like cycling damage types or whatever you want to do. It's just like, I don't like it. I've never seen it like this. I can't think of a league before where I've been a week in and been like, I was like, I'm going to just play. I want to play Space Engineers or anything else that's like mindless and I can just chill. Because pathofexile is not chill right now. It is so like, I'm so focused when I'm playing it that I can't be just like chilling out and doing whatever. Soul Eater is brutal. And then the fact that the league mechanic to me is really disappointing. There's no benefit to doing it. There's no loot. There's no, like, you know, maybe you could say that they give more XP, but who cares? When you're charging it up and you're fighting 10 mobs, it means nothing. It's not like you're getting any benefit from that. But they don't benefit you in the sense of loot, which the game is focused on loot. I need currency and loot to do other things, and I already know Crucible's like a long shot. So if I was doing it just for fun, at least give me something for doing it, not just the hopes of some random RNG tree that, like I said, 95% of the time I'm just tossing, because
like right now, all I'm doing an item that has a Crucible tree to already drop every Crucible you do or something.
Yeah, or just actual loot. There's literally nothing. There's like they just don't drop anything. There's nothing. I don't get anything from doing. They feel like it was funny. I was thinking to myself, running Crucible, running the Breach stones. They remind me of doing the first two Syrian and Eater ones, like the fat dude and the one that changes from cold. Where when you kill them, you're like, do I need to hold down Alt? Like, where's the stuff? There's nothing there. That's that they kind of feel the same way. So the lack of loot from the mechanic itself is frustrating. The mechanic itself, I'm getting annoyed with, because I feel like right now all I'm doing is just trying to collect the base types. I don't even care about the rolls on it. Just try to get some of the nodes that I want. You know, like if I can get a couple keystones, there are a couple keystones that if I could get on an item would actually help me really change my build around. But I don't want to trade for them because I don't like. If I have to, I guess maybe, but I'm only a week in, so sure. I don't really want to do it yet. But there was something other than Soul Eater, but Soul Eater is the one that takes the cake. It's also really frustrating too for me. Like the Alice passive is so exciting, and I feel like now I'm putting in quite a bit of work to fix it, because Breach has just been so disappointing. The Expedition has been so fun. Expedition has been awesome. I've loved Expedition. I've loved the logbooks. I got Josh onto the idea of Expedition, and he's now in love with it too. Like, it's just, I do enjoy it, but Expedition can get entirely fucked over by a bad Soul Eater in amongst a bunch of guys with a bad modifier. And I did an expedition yesterday where 3 Soul Eaters spawned in an expedition mob group. When they spawned up, there were 3 of them. Now, granted, 3 of them can't all suck the souls, so it wasn't the end of the world. But Soul Eater for me is just killing my enjoyment of doing a map, because I can run rolled T16s, I can kill the bosses, I'm doing fine in the content, but I can hit some stupid modifier that it's not breaking it's not my build. It's not like I've done something wrong, or, oh, you made a mistake, you rolled this something you shouldn't have, blah, blah, blah. It's just some stupid mod in the game that gets so amped up because I'm playing a way of playing the game that is increasing the mobs, which is the point of the game. Kill lots of mobs.
It is a horde game. This isn't a slow, like what you're doing isn't an abnormal style of playing.
You want to kill lots of stuff.
This is all about the hordes and multitudes of mods. Yes.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm penalized when I get unlucky to the point where, you know, I had to walk away from a couple expeditions where the Soul Eater got too strong. I actually could not kill it, but it happened to be right by Tujin or Gwenin, and so they won't stop trying to attack that thing, and so I've just had to leave. I've just had to go finish the map and do something else, right? So that's just, it's defeating. It's really not a good feeling when that's why, because the game itself, you and I talked about this, the game's in a great spot. I think the build diversity feels nice. I actually people may disagree with me, I like the mana change that they made with regards to Determination and Grace. I've had to really consider how I put my...
What's the change?
Well, there's no mastery now for Determination and Grace, right?
Oh, so sorry, I was thinking the skills. Yes, I like that
just
as
having
well.
to like, my build has actually been kind of fun because I'm running Grace and Determination, so that's a big deal. I've got to think about, like, how do I deal with this? Do I swap out? Sometimes I swap out Determination when I'm fighting a boss, and I'll put on Malevolence. Or there's actually some thinking to it. I don't mind that, but I don't like the fact that right now when I'm playing the game, I could have a map completely worthless and my leveling progress wasted because of a dumb modifier that does not have a limit on stacks, does not fall off over time. It just wrecks it. And it seems to be everywhere this league. I can't figure out what, like, I don't know what they did, but I swear to God, they increased the rate of Soul Eater. And
I wonder if other players have noticed that as well, or if you're just having extremely unlucky RNG.
Maybe I am just having the most ridiculous unlucky RNG in every single map, but it feels like that.
We all know that there is somebody at GGG that's paid to have a mod of the day. We all know, for those that do chaos rolling on their maps, that it's like there's going to be a day where it's like, shoot, that has temporal change. Okay, let's roll it. Okay, temporal chains. Okay, temporal chains. Oh shoot, can't regen life or mana. Oh shoot, okay, got to do that. Next one, temporal chains. Crap. We all know that they have a mod of the day that they try and screw people over with. Maybe Soul Eater, was your mod of the day?
I think it's just on, but also like I said, my build is strong. I'm clearing the content. I'm 90+% in every resist, including chaos. Like I've got good enough life. Like the build is working great. I can do all of the content, but I can't do anything sometimes against these mobs that they actually wreck the map for me. And that's super defeating because I'm like, I'm trying to build up Expedition. I'm trying to build up Breach, which again, Breach is a whole different thing. It has nothing to do with the Soul Eater. They're just the thing that kind of
they just make the Soul Eater worse.
Unfortunate. It's just not fun.
It's density.
Yeah, but it's made it really hard for me to get excited to go and do a map because I don't want to have to try and fight that. So yeah, it's not been a really great league for me. I've been really frustrated, and it's really weird to me to be this frustrated when I'm really enjoying the play style. I'm really enjoying the parts of the game that I like. Crucible to me is, have you done a Crucible Forge yet?
No.
It's a joke.
Why?
You don't even have to fight the mobs. You know how the mobs, when you do Crucible, like have the lava that comes up,
right?
Yeah. And then they spawn? That animation happens as you approach them. It's like a zigzag, so it's not an open area. You're just following a path. Just keep walking. You walk straight to the forge. You don't even have to fight the mobs.
So there's mobs, but you don't have to defeat them to earn the Crucible?
Nothing. You just walk to the Crucible.
And
do
they follow you?
Nope. Because they don't spawn until you're past.
So they could have just made it like a reliquary key?
Yeah. And there's no benefit to fighting them. It's not like they drop items that have Crucible related trees or nothing. There's no benefit to fighting them at all. And you can just walk right past them and go straight to the Crucible. I don't get it. When I first got into one, I was like, where are the mobs? What's happening? And I started to move forward, and then you see the little lava animation. And I'm like, I'm not seriously supposed to wait here for 3 seconds for these mobs to spawn. And then sure enough, those mobs spawn. So I went for a little bit killing them. And then finally I just started leap slamming away. And I just went straight to the forge. There was nothing.
And those things, they're like a 6 portal map, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not really sure why it was made the way that it is, but a lot of this stuff I think that they can fix and make it. I think there needs to be a benefit to killing Crucible monsters. It's so weird to me that there isn't. Like when I run a Crucible itself, besides giving me the Crucible tree and XP, there's no benefit to killing them. So just the league mechanics just odd to me, but I do love where Path of Exile is. I still love the Atlas passive tree. I just can't wait to change it. I love the new little portals that you can go around. Like the base game level is awesome. Soul Eater needs to be sorted out or something. Like if it is just me, then I have been insanely unlucky, and I don't understand that at all. But just in general, why does it not have a cap, and why does it not fall off? Like why can't it like slowly...
One of my notes here, like I've always hated Soul Eater. I've mentioned to you, was that an okay time to interrupt?
Yeah, I'm done now.
Okay. I hope, and not to be derogatory towards you, but hopefully you start sucking less, try a little harder. But I also hope though that it is RNG. Like I hope it's not a number change, because Soul Eater is an extremely frustrating one.
I hope it
one
is
of my
a number
least
change
favorite,
and they can just fix it.
Right.
If it's RNG, I'm fucked. Like that would suck.
Yeah. One of my least favorite bosses, maybe my least favorite, is who are the three? I've mentioned this so many times, but I never remember the map. She's by a cauldron. She's one of the 3 bandits you have to kill.
Oh, it's like the Alira.
Alira, right. So it's her, but then they change her name, of course, because she's a boss now. Yeah. And so you go and you're fighting her underground, and she's by this big cauldron, and she's constantly spawning enemies, but she has a Soul Eater mod. That to me is the dumbest fight in the world, especially because I, as a minion player, I hate predator support, because minions' brains fall out when they have predator support. Now, for some, like the flying, like SRS or something, predator support's great. It's fantastic. But when you do it with a walking minion, their brains fall out. When you hit predator support, the predator support button says, attack if they can, they'll attack this mod. But they're always trying to get there, and they don't attack things along the way. And so I've found in my... previously in my zombie testing and trying things out, my zombies my build was so inefficient so often. And it was because I was like, oh, there's the mod. Like predator support on controller support is amazing, because it you could have 100 mobs around you, but if there's one rare, it'll point out the rare if you're aiming correctly, right? It's not going to just point out the first white mob that's right in front of you. So it's really they did a very good job on it. But my zombies aren't attacking their way through. They're trying to walk there. So they're not leeching. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. And so even on something like this Alira boss fight with Soul Eater, I can't use Predator support to single her out because my zombies are just, half of them are just walking in one spot while they wait for whatever mob in their way to get through because they have Predator support on something else, on Alira. So that's always been a boss that's infuriated me because she creates minions like nonstop. That's her skill, is she's constantly creating minions. And now she's getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And I've always thought, there should be a cap, like a stupid high cap. Well, not stupid high, but like a really high cap so that it's still a terrifying mod, but not the most, just not something that takes all the fun out of the difficulty, right? Like you and I are both people that like difficult, but we don't like impossible or stupid, unfun. What, right? You want the fun per hour.
Which of the cauldron is the one you're talking about, which is Alira? She gets a 2% damage reduction per consumed soul.
Yeah, that gets to a point because she's constantly creating. It's here's the thing though. I never thought of this. I always thought of Soul Eater in terms of wishing it was better. I always thought of that coming in the form of a cap. But your idea of their charges having a duration like Leech or anything else, get rid of a cap. Who cares about a cap if every duration had a 5 or 10 second, like 10 seconds even, a 10-second buff that had an infinite stack? Fantastic, because you just can't get that many mods in the game. Like there's just not that many. Even if you play your way where you're all about increasing pack size on a regular basis, that's a terrifying 20 seconds. That's not a terrifying 2 minutes.
But you also gain nothing. That's the crazy thing. It's not like Soul Eater goes like, hey, the more souls I consume, the better your loot. So that's why
wouldn't that be great? Like, hey, you get like it's also multiplicative with the XP. Well, think about, like, imagine if all of a sudden you're at level 93 and you have the most terrifying Soul Eater there and you kill it at max charges. Wouldn't that be great if you actually saw your XP bar do the jump? So anyway, your idea of fixing the Soul Eater mod with the duration of charges is a really cool idea. Really cool. How do you make currency with Expedition?
Tujin with his offers, like, so you're collecting the currency for Tujin and then you're trading him and you just make boatloads.
Like he offers currency?
Yeah, so with Tujin you're trading, so you'll get a window that has a bunch of items. It's always currency related, or not always. It's like breach rings, there's maps, there's but otherwise it's all currency stuff. And then you're using his currency to trade with him. So you focus. So what I do is I focus on Tujin and Danig, because Danig gives you all of the stuff for trading for the other 3 guys' currencies. So and with the 2 focus things, you can actually make Tujin show up 90% of the time, or it's a 90% increased chance for Tujin to show up and a 65% increased chance for Danig to show up. So when I get an expedition, I would say almost every map, if not every 2 maps.
Interesting.
I have a very high chance of it being one of the 2 of them. And then when you actually run them themselves, you can like increase currency drops. Logbooks is what I focused on, is a big thing for logbooks, because logbooks are actually kind of fun to run. But also if you're focused on Black Scythe, which is Tujin, I can increase how many exotic coins I get, which is what lets me re-roll Tujin's currency window. And then I'm just like literally almost all of my currency has come from Tujin, and I'm doing decent. Like I think I've got 300 or 400 chaos right now, and I think I've got 7 or 8 divines. Like it's turned out pretty well. Nice.
I was on the trade site the other day. I have 5 chaos, and I was like, do I want an amulet that has over 50 life? And because I need 77 dex on my gear, and I like getting that on my amulet. Just get it out of the way, and then I don't have to worry about any attribute requirements. I like all of my attribute requirements on my amulet, and I'm like, okay, 77 dex and 50 life. And then either a nice chaos.
You can get that on your wand now with the new trees.
Oh, yes. But I'm not going to depend on that. I like swapping my weapons out unless I'm using Searing Touch for my RF build. But anyway, and then, oh, dang, what was I talking about?
Yeah, amulet, buying something for 5
and then chaos. I'm like, okay, then I either want an empty suffix or a decent chaos roll, chaos resist roll. I'm like, but I could also get a corrupted 5 link. And then I'm like, okay, I have 5
I'll
chaos.
bet you there's a 5 link in the guild stash for you. I would put money
there's all 4
link.
links. I think I saw some 5 links earlier, but I was too low level and other people are using them, and that's fine because that's what it's for. I was surprised though, back to the league, and then I'll let you know a little bit about my first week, which isn't very long because I took the opportunity to paint, even though it's league start.
Yep.
I needed to get this. Well, I needed to get this office done before we have company over for next weekend. So one thing I noticed is now that I'm like, you know what? I don't have any gear for the Crucible. I don't have any wands, or I don't have a shield. Like that's all it's for, right? Either because of minion player, my wands or my shield. And I'm like, no, I already have what I need. Nothing's dropped that I'm curious about trying out. And this is after the change when I know nothing negative is going to happen right off the bat. All of a sudden I realized I'm like, I can't do the league without an item. Like I can't just, there's nothing to interact with unless I, of course, just want to pick up a random item and then just, do the identification process for no reason, which I guess I could, but I'm the type of player where my inventory is normally quite full. There's always at the end of it by the end of a map, there's stuff I want to pick up that I can't. And I'm
Didn't
picky.
I send you that video? Wasn't there a video of these guys that like were pretending and it was like the idea of like playing with a loot hoarder? That's Tyler.
No, but I'm not a loot hoarder. You see, like during the campaign, any RGB combination shows up. Doesn't matter the size, it's going to show up. But as soon as maps start, it's only 1x3s, right? The one-handed weapons or wands. That's the only stuff. No 2x2s, no boots or anything like that show up with the chromatic recipe. And so I am picky, and of course, but the jeweler orb recipe, I mean, 7 jeweler's orbs drops. You're going to pick it up, even if it's a 2x8. Yep. Though maybe I should change that recipe, or sorry, 2x4. But maybe I should restrict that to 2x6 just in case, because the bows
take up a lot of space.
They do. Bows and staffs take up a lot. So maybe I should change it to 6, 2x3 anyway. But anyway, like there's stuff, and I'm the kind of person where I'm always hoping for that drop. Right. So I do ID stuff, and then I do like amalgamate. Like I think it was like 50 alterations by the time I finished the campaign. And that's not bad, right? For rolling and getting started. I had over 80 transmutes, right? It's good for getting your maps going and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not, I'm not making currency per se, but for the basics of what I need, I'm definitely fine. Where was I going with that though? What was the point of that? Because that's very boring to listen to without a point.
Loot and not being able to use the mechanic. Just the fact that you can't. If you don't have the items,
right? Okay, yeah. Look at you. Hey, on a roll. You're finding out where my notes are for and the announcements. You're looking at this. So yeah, it was just like I already have. Like I'm a loot guy, and assuming because it's a loot game. Like my loot, I'm always there, and so I have all these extra things. I guess I could. Yeah, I don't know. I just found it interesting for the fact that I have to have an item to interact with the league mechanic. But I guess maybe I'll just start. That
doesn't have a tree, or you have to have an item or an item with a tree that you care about. Right. Because if you have an item with a tree you don't care about,
I guess I always have an item on me. So maybe I'll just start doing those things for the fun of it and see what's up.
It's worth picking up the bases of the item that when you have a good item, it's worth picking up the same base of that item and hoping and running it just to see if you get a keystone on that one that you could try and smush later on in the Crucible. Like there is some value to that, but where I got stuck for a bit was just only picking up rare ones, hoping that they rolled the modifiers that I wanted and then using Crucible on that, which was not even ever. It was almost never, right? Because the chances of an item dropping, having the modifiers you want is very, very low. So what I've just started doing when I'm doing it is just picking up the base type of what I would like to get to, because right now I am using Searing Touch, but I would like to get into 2 one-handed scepters because I can get a lot more damage out of that. And I like the keystones that can roll on the scepters, but I just have to keep picking up scepters until I get lucky with some of those keystones to drop.
You want a void or an opal because they have the best implicit.
Yep.
At least there's 2.
But
though.
Again, that doesn't actually matter. Oh, that doesn't matter on the one you're going to smush into it. It's just the base type matters. So you know what I mean? So anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's good. No, we're all good. I haven't had a frustrating league start. I mean, obviously my league start itself and interacting with Crucible we found our personal opinion was that they were overturned. Whether GGG agrees or not, I don't know, but that's what they did. I thought I could hold it in. I'm sorry.
You did.
I just coughed like right in the mic.
Yes, you did. I'll fix it.
Anyway, thank you. whether I'm always curious if GGG agrees or not with the changes. You know what I mean?
Like, I think in some of the cases, yeah. I think some of the times it's just overlooked, or maybe it's not, it's, you know, people, even as much as I might bitching about my league start, I don't put it on the fact that I think GG's screwing up. It's really unfair to expect that they would test it to the same degree that 100,000 people playing it every single day are going to be able to test. That's just, it's unrealistic when you have a 3 to 4 month turnover. And I'm okay with that. I accept the fact that that's the game we play. We've just gotten used to that. I feel like some of them, maybe they should have caught ahead of time, but I am always happy when they do change them. But sometimes I feel like maybe they just come a little bit too late.
Yeah. I think some of that though comes down to system and processing too. Like not hardware, but the method with which testers are given the reins to test stuff. Because a lot of the times, if you want a certain circumstance, you can type it in. That's the circumstance. You throw yourself in there. You don't earn yourself the ability to get there. I need these items. I need this difficulty. I'm going to type that in. Okay, now I'm thrown into the, I don't know, hologram room, and I'm trying it out. But you don't earn the way. And a lot of the times, there's so much of the experience that's missed out because of the methods with which are used to get to testing. So there's a certain circumstance. Yes, the circumstance specifically with what you have and what you assign to yourself works out well, but how do you get there? And a lot of the times that's missed. And so that's why I find, and that's my guess as to how they do things, because this is nowhere near the first league. It's quite common for GGG to release a league and then backtrack on difficulty. And so there's got to be something like the process of typing in as opposed to...
Maybe that's a better option though for them. Maybe the alternative of coming out too easy and trying to make it harder is going to be a big problem.
Sure. Yeah. And there's definitely been leagues where it's been well balanced right off the bat. So who knows how it goes. So for me, I'm doing my Elementalist Reaper. I have now, I've ascended 3 times. I'm still waiting on the 4th.
Yeah, we tried to do it yesterday.
We did, and it was funny. It was such bad luck. But no, the funny thing is I was still doing fine, right? I still had the multiplayer increase though. So like these fights, and it was unscaled, and you started it. So it was...
You should have been able to turn that back off in the party setting.
No, but that's not for an instance. And the trials are all one instance. It's not each section. You can't manipulate it. So the whole trial... No, it's fine. It's not your fault. It just, Zaro took a little bit longer, and that's fine. What killed me was just a bleed. Didn't know I had it. Just...
That's what killed me when I was trying to help you.
I was just walking along. Attention.
Yep.
I was on my way to the second Zaro, and I just saw the... what's his area called? The trial,
Aspirant's trial.
I'm like, oh, there did you? What? What do you mean? What do you mean start a checkpoint? I didn't even know I was bleeding. I was just having a nice walk.
That's funny.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm doing the Reaper.
Lots of things. We can do more.
Thank you. And when do they start showing up? Tier 5s?
Maps. Oh, I don't know what tier. I've seen quite a few. I've only done one. The rest of them I've gotten from Tujin.
Okay. So yeah, anyway, I've been going through and I've been having a great time. The build's nice and strong. I decided to level, and it is slower to go this way, but I started at the Witch, and went up to go get the Golem nodes, and then I went and got all 3 mana reservation clusters, right? There's the one at the top. It's just one of the mana ones at the bottom. But then I got Sovereignty, and then I went all the way down to Champion of the Cause. So it was just like all int and strength all the way down. Got it. And then after I did, that was like mid 40s by the time I did that. So then I went back up to the top, and then I started getting all the nodes as they came. All my life nodes, all my minion damage nodes.
Did you need the mana nodes that early? I wouldn't think you would.
No, but see, here's the thing.
Just to be there, I get it. Just to be there.
Well, it's mana reservation, right? And you do end up getting all those mana reservation nodes. You can get them by the end of Act 3. And so now you can't all do that because half of them are life reservation with flat reservation. It's not percentage based, right? So all my mana reservation ones I can get and do use. And so that's quite nice. Especially because this is my first time ever leveling. I've always known of the power of purity of elements ever since they changed purity of elements from 35% to 50% and did the whole elemental ailment immunity. But this is my first time actually playing with it. Oh my goodness, Justin. It is so nice.
So nice, right?
It is. Yeah. It's like you don't realize how often an immunity is on you, just and how many different things. So now I know that if I'm being slowed, it's because those stupid tar zombies, which I hope Do not make it 30 years into the future into Path of Exile 2. I hope they've figured out the tar problem by then. But if I'm slow, it's either that or maim. Every time. Every single time. It's
Have
so
you played
nice.
with
I've
elemental immunity before?
I've played with the Raider, but just in testing, like trying out ideas and having ailment immunity, 50% on the tree, 50% from the Raider. So that would have been a couple leagues ago, but after its most recent change.
I love that you bring that up though, because I was just having a talk with Josh yesterday. Sorry to interrupt you.
No,
but
you do
I was having a talk with him yesterday that this is the first league where I've played with spell suppression. Because with Jug and RF and stuff, I can't think of the last time. This is the first time I've played and had 100% spell suppression. I love it.
Isn't it nice?
Oh my God.
You still have
it
to
is
have
such
recovery,
a different feeling.
but it's nice to not get, you don't see your health bar drop down to 1/4 life.
Where I noticed it the most was Delve. Going through Delve with the bats and the different things that was such a struggle even with RF. And I always was like, why is this so damn hard? Man, doing Delve right now is just like, I don't even feel it. It's such a different feeling.
That's nice.
So anyway, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. So this is my first time leveling with Purity of Elements and just playing with it. And oh my goodness, Justin, I want it on every single build. I know there's other ways to get rid of ailments, but it's so nice to just have one skill that does it all.
And plus you're getting the resist.
But it's so nice. Yes. And that is nice, especially as a minion player where I am trying to keep the resist of the minion up as well. So that is really nice. And it is so much fun for co-op, right? When you're playing with someone and they don't have to worry about ailment immunity or elemental ailment immunity anymore. That's so nice. But so anyway, I went that long path of going all the way down to Champion of the Cause, got Sovereignty, and then there was the Mana Reservation Mastery at the very top that I already got. So then I went back to the top and started getting everything else. And so I was like level 50 something by the time I started putting damage into my build. But then all of a sudden I feel like I'm a superhero. I feel like I just got an 8 link, even though I'm still on a 4 link. And so, but I've had a great time. Like the Reaper's super easy. And as I've gone through, I leveled, because I'm using Petrified Blood. So I have Arctic Armor and Vitality turned on for life right now, and that's using just over 50%. I'll eventually have Clarity, but I need more life to do that, more life nodes and better life rolls to do that, because those Vitality and Clarity are of course the flat reservations, so that would just eat up all my life. But
also you use, what's that skill for the 50% of your health?
Petrified Blood, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So,
which is why it makes sense you're reserving it.
Yeah. And so, but it's been great. It's been really easy. I've just been able to stand stationary for almost every single fight. Even Katava with Purity of Elements on, like his Fire Breath, so easy because I'm not taking the burning damage. I'm just taking the damage from standing on the fire. And so it's just been so nice. I've gotten past the tier 1 maps. I've done the bonuses for tier 1. I did 2 tier 3 maps, but nothing's dropping. I've used up my Keurig stuff.
I got lots of maps for you.
Thank you. This is very kind. See, you know how you have a guy for your lawn, and you have a guy, like you got a guy, right? You got a guy for your lawn.
I got a guy.
You got a guy for hand jobs. You got a guy. You just got a guy
whatever
for everything.
you need. Whatever you need.
There's always a guy that Justin has for something. Well, Justin, I got a Path of Exile.
You
guy.
got a guy.
Yeah, that's right.
You got a guy.
Justin, you're my Path of Exile guy. I got a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's like, hey Ty, you need some help with that? No. I got a guy. But
such a fun thing to say.
I got a guy. But
I got a guy.
It's like, remember, what was that? Oh man,
well, I don't even know why we're throwing. I feel like I'm throwing an accent on it too.
Yeah, well, remember Johnny Depp? What was that one? Donnie Brasco.
Donnie Brasco.
Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot. It's one of my favorite. I loved that movie. Hey, it's a Fugazi. Hey, just forget about it. It's a Fugazi. I got a guy. Yeah. I got a guy. So anyway, I've had a good time with it. I'm skipping almost all the crucibles unless there's an item that interests me. I always have a convoking or convening wand in one hand, but whether I have a convoking wand or some sort of, I forget what the base types are for the minion shields, that or the Archon shields, the 12% extra. It's just really nice. So just doing that, looking around, but I'm still on a 4 link. I'm capped with resist, but that's only because of Purity of Elements, which I am keeping. That is part of my build. I added that to my zombie build as well, so I'm quite curious to respec my console characters and see what that's like. And but I'm loving Purity of Elements so much. I spent maybe an hour this week when I should have been doing chores. I spent about an hour on my laptop saying, how can I add Purity of Elements to my Righteous Fire build? Where can I get these extra mana reservation nodes?
50%.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot, man. Like, it's basically I got down to, do I want Purity of Fire or Purity of Elements? And Purity of Fire won. But I would
eventually get to the point with RF you don't need Purity of Fire, though.
No, but I still love with the Chief, because I'm the Chief, there's that node that it has where a certain amount of physical damage you take gets converted to fire damage. And so the higher that is, the better it is for both. And physical damage is all over the place. So
nice.
Yeah. So anyway, I've had a really good time, but Crucible's meh to me. Like, not as a criticism. I love the changes. Those are the changes we wanted them to make for the most part, except for maybe what you said in your opinion. But I'm relatively apathetic to it. The game's still in, like, last league was, we said nonstop. We've said it today. Game's in the best state that it's ever been in, no matter which league you're playing. The league doesn't screw over the best state that the game's in. You can easily ignore it. Basically, that's what I'm doing. But it is nice that now I can interact with the league mechanic when something exciting, or at least a base type that I'm interested in, drops. So it's good. But yeah, I'm in white maps and I'm excited to progress further. And the office looks fantastic. I had a lot of other notes, different posts I made, and different theory crafting options that I had, but this is going to take way too long. So I'll shove those over to next week.
After Dark. That's all After Dark.
But Justin,
you got to be a patron. Or you're going to miss out.
I have my Atlas passive tree though too that I really want to talk about.
Actually, we are going to talk about that in After Dark, because I want to talk to you about Atlas passives. So you can bring it up if you want in a future episode, but we're talking Atlas passives.
Okay.
All right. Are we good to wrap it?
Yeah, there was like 3 other things that I forgot about that I didn't write down that I wanted to bring up. So another time.
All right, sweet.
I also have to go to the bathroom
again. Episode 184, Forever Exiled. I am Justin, aka Tags.
And I am Tyler, not aka Wrecker of Days.
Thanks everybody for hanging out with us for episode 184. We'll see patrons in After Dark. Everybody else will see you next week in 185. Hopefully your league is going well. Patreons. Okay, hold on. Let me hit this right. If you're looking for more information, you find it down below. We got a website, foreverexiled.com. We're on Twitter, foreverexiled82. We have a very fun Discord, which you should be a part of. Patrons and other ways to support the podcast. You'll find them down below. Don't forget to hit that 5-star on Spotify and Apple. And love ya.
Hey, Justin.
Yeah.
You nailed that. You hit that right.
Pretty much bang on.